What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome to another edition of the Nick Beasley Show. Yes, I am live again. I was just live, and we're back at it 30 minutes later. And my guest today is Trav. He is a great friend of mine who I've met through a great Discord, a great community called TTP. Shout out Johnny and Marissa, the Triple Threat Pod. They absolutely crush it. I had Johnny on my channel just a few days ago. Immediately, Trav was like, "I'd love to come on," and we made it work 2 days later. That's how fast this thing works. We're just gonna make it work. Anybody that wants to come on, I'm inviting it. I'm inviting guests. Anybody, we want to argue, we can argue, we can agree. Doesn't matter. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy having conversation with people. But we got some stuff to get into because, guys, it is not only football season. It is MLB playoffs. It is WWE at the peak of their uh, talent right now with their stories. It is NBA season. So we have a lot to talk about and a lot to cover. So let's get into this first. Jay Uso immediately going back to the family, going back to Jimmy. Me and Johnny talked about this on the podcast the other day. We both kind of thought he doesn't need to go right back. He needs to wait, make Roman apologize. Uh, he didn't do that. He's just immediately like, "Hey man, I'm here for y'all. I'm here to help y'all." I don't like it. Trav, what's your opinion of it, man?
I I'm kind of the same, but I like. 'Cause I mean, I know Jimmy already apologized, but like Roman was the one that put Jay through the ringer, like especially towards the end of the bloodline, and it's like I love Jey Uso. Like Jey Uso's great. He's been great single star, and I always loved the Usos as a tag team. They're one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. Like period. But I feel like they should have at least dragged Jay coming back to the bloodline at least a couple more weeks. Like, ma- go ahead, go down with the beatdown to Roman and Jimmy again. That way, Jay has to be conflicted on what he wants to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought Jay, maybe comes out, helps them because it makes sense to cost the Tongans the tag titles because Jacob, not the Tongans, not the Bloodline, Jacob cost Jay the Intercontinental Championship on Monday, so that made sense. What didn't make sense is Jimmy coming out and them just hugging, which, as a fan of the Usos since like day one, um, I loved it. But at the same time, as a fan of story and wrestling and just, the long-term storytelling, I was like, "I don't love this. I don't love it was that quick. I don't love it happened just like that. I don't love that Jay was like, 'Alright, I'm not IC champ anymore. I'll go help them now.'" Like, I didn't love that because it feels like to me that everything they've done with Jay, the building it up, the even the Jimmy line of telling Jay, like, "You went off and became tag team champs without me. You went off and
Right.
did something that we were only supposed to do together. So now when we go into the Hall of Fame, you're going to have one more title reign. And not only that, you did it with the enemy. You did it with the one guy Roman couldn't stand. I didn't like that Jimmy and Jay are just like, "Yeah, no, we're cool." As a fan of the
Yeah.
Usos, I'm happy they're back together, but as a fan of long-term booking, I don't love the idea of it just being the same week he lost the IC title, and he's not even going to go back to Braun Breaker. He's just going to be, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah. See, I'm the same. Like, I don't. I prefer long-term booking over short-term booking. I always have. Like, I like the stories. I like long-term stories. Banger matches, great. The Usos are gonna have amazing matches as a tag team. They always do. They always do. Like
Mhm.
even when it was a million times versus FTR or a million times versus New Day, every match was always good. But it's like for the story, it's like they should have made J- Jimmy earn Jay's trust back.
Yeah.
And same with
No,
now
I
with
agree,
Roman too.
I agree,
Like,
and
go ahead.
again, if I mean, from the Discord, I am probably the biggest Roman stan existing that's not, like, has Roman as my profile picture. Like, I'm one of those fans that I love Roman, and I love everything he does, and I'll never go against him. But I really want that moment, and I hope it still happens. But I want that moment of Roman having to be vulnerable and telling Jay, "I screwed up. My bad. I was more worried about championships than I was family. That's on me. I'm sorry. I acknowledge you." Almost having to acknowledge Jay is like, "You're the main event now. We need you. You don't need me to elevate you anymore. We need you to help us."
Yeah, and that's the thing, and and I mean, I know, but it's like they also, even with Jay coming back, I mean, it's like they haven't done anything to be like, well, who we need our fourth guy. 'Cause, I mean, you still got Solo, you got both Tongas, you got Jacob, and it's like I know there's still like 4 or 5 weeks of or Survivor Series, but it's like moving that fast with Jay. It's like, well, we gotta hurry up and get our fourth guy back or a fourth guy in now. And I mean, it could be Cody,
Yeah.
but then yet again, it's like Jimmy and Roman working with the enemy, technically.
Jimmy, Roman, and Jay
Yeah,
working with the enemy because now that Jay's just back with Jimmy, it's like nothing that him and Cody did happened either. Like it almost
exactly.
erases a full year. It kind of erases like a full year of everything Jay built. And going like, yeah, you were never with Cody. You never were fighting for the world title at any point. You were never the Intercontinental Champion at one point. Yeah, no, that never happened. You are now just back as which one are you in a way.
Yeah, and it's like with that, it's like I and really Jay didn't have to lose the Intercontinental title to get back into this storyline. Like he could have helped Roman and Jimmy without losing his title. Like I like Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's
Right.
great, but there was no point in making Jay's title reign only 28 days. Like he could have had a longer reign than that.
It's almost like they looked at it and they pulled the trigger and they were like, okay, we made Rikishi happy. Now let's just take the title back off of him. Because really, Rikishi, I think, was the only one publicly going after WWE. Like, hey, you've got all this money invested in Jay. You've got all this merch invested in Jay. Pull the trigger, put a title on him. I think the fans were under the understanding, well, he's going to go back to the bloodline eventually, so it didn't make sense to put the title on him anyway. And WWE, I feel like, only did that, only put the title on him, only had him do all that because, well, you know what? Hey, we're going to have Braun just lose, then feel bad, then destroy you, then beat you, and then you're going back to your family. Oh, and Jacob is going to cost you instead of Solo. And Jimmy and Roman, yeah, they're not going to help you, but you're going to go help them on Friday. That's kind of what it felt like to me. They just did that because of Rikishi.
Yeah, and it's like don't get me wrong, like I said, I love the Usos together, but to me, like the booking of the way they did it just doesn't correlate with everything they've been doing with
Makes
both
sense.
Jimmy and Jay, and even Roman at this
Yeah,
point. Like it just
because
doesn't correlate.
like when Jimmy returned and they put him and Roman back together. Obviously, fans are happy, like Roman and Jimmy are back together. But that's also almost saying like everything Roman did to Jimmy, threatening Jimmy if he lost to Jay at Mania, putting all that pressure on Jimmy. None of that happened either.
Yeah,
Because Solo is the one that took Jimmy out, Jimmy's just gonna go back to Roman and not talk about what Roman threatened him of when they were feuding with Jay and Cody. Like, you don't remember, Jimmy, you don't remember Roman sending you after Jay at Mania and Jay spearing you off of a stage? Like, that didn't happen? Like, I didn't see you fall from the ramp onto a table. Like I didn't like it's like none of that happened. None of the story before Mania happened now is what they're
yeah,
trying to do, and I don't like it. Because again, go back to before Mania, go back to before Cody was champ. there was real deep-rooted issues between Roman, Jimmy, and Jay. And it's like none of that matters anymore because Solo is now the enemy and he brought in the Tongans and he brought in Jacob. So now they got to handle that. And they're not going to make Roman apologize. It's not going to be like Roman has to be vulnerable. It's going to be, no, the Usos are just going to forgive him without the apology. And I don't like that because they've been saying that they were going to make Roman the babyface. Kind of looks like Roman didn't change at all. And the Usos are just going back to him because they're scared of him. And
Right,
I
because
don't
now
like that they're booking him that way.
and now that they're afraid of Solo or afraid of the Tongas and Jacob probably too. Because I mean, even when Jay cut that promo, you know we were told to stay away from them. That's why we stayed away from them. But you brought them in. It's like
Yeah. And I do like the point that Jay made when he was talking about that. And he was like, why'd you have to go get them? Why'd you have to? And I like that he name dropped him. Why did you have to go get Jacob? We stayed away from them for a reason. And credit to Corey Graves on commentary. He's been saying it since Jacob showed up. That man is not supposed to be in public. Like, he is not, he's that dangerous. Or they're trying to build him to be that dangerous. And you have Jay go, why'd you have to get him? Why weren't we enough? And I do like that they've done that with Jacob, where they've made it to where, like, Jacob's the real threat of that new bloodline. That now it's almost like Jay, Jimmy, and Roman. They're not scared of the Tongans as much, and they're not scared of Solo, obviously, because they know Solo because they worked with Solo. But Jacob, that's the one they don't want to mess with, and they don't want to try to play with because they know how dangerous he can be. And I like that they're leaning into some of the real life stuff that's happened with Jacob, bleeding into the story of like he is dangerous. If you see him in public, he can mess you up, and there will be no remorse.
exactly like I mean it's the same way. And I do like that they're doing that with him. I like that they are building Jacob up as a serious threat to potentially destroy the bloodline itself.
Yeah. I wonder if he turn. I want him to turn on Solo so bad I can't stand it, because I love Jacob. You know, when he beat, and Marissa's gonna hate me for this. When he lost to Riddle, I was so upset. I did not think Riddle deserved that win. I like Riddle. I just didn't think he needed that win over Jacob. But let's go to the pay per view coming up next weekend. Uh, Crown Jewel, the Outlook. What are you looking forward to most about this pay per view, man?
Honestly, the for me like the I'm looking forward to the women's tag title match the most because like the two champion versus champion matches, I just don't care enough about. Like, I like Liv Morgan. I'm all right with Cody. I like Gunter. I don't really care for Nia Jax, but like, there's those two match.
Right? Yeah.
I don't feel like we need like just the oh well they get to fight for these belts that don't mean anything after this pay per view. Like, it's a waste of
No, I
time in
agree.
my opinion.
I'm looking forward to Cody versus Gunther, just because that match is going to be fun. Because I think both of their styles can work well together. Obviously, Gunther being like the bruiser, beating up everybody, and Cody being kind of more of the technical guy. I do like that, and I think it's going to work well together. Now you mentioned the Mets. You being a Mets fan. Oh, we lost him. Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm at
You back?
there we go. Yeah,
All right, man. So you mentioned being a Mets fan, and obviously, as a Dodgers fan, we agreed just good, clean, fun baseball,
yeah.
no bad blood. Is it still that way now, looking at it a couple weeks later, or a week later, and the Mets are no longer in it, and the Dodgers are about to sweep the Yankees? Sorry, Johnny. It's just gonna happen.
I there are there's a part of me that's still a little bitter, a little bitter. I mean, obviously, when your team loses, especially in playoffs, like it's heartbreaking, regardless what the situation is. So it's like a part of me that's kind of like, man, like I don't want to see the team that beat me host up the trophy. But then at the same time, it's like if they do, they're like we lost to the champions, like in 6 games at that. Like we took them 6 games, but
Oh no, I agree. So had it been the other way around and the Dodgers lost, which I did put out, a buddy of mine texted me after the game, after the Mets Dodgers game 6 when we won, and was like, "Congrats, man, y'all going to the World Series." I straight up said it. I expected to win the National League as a Dodgers fan just because our roster was so loaded. But if the Mets had beaten us, I think I'd feel the same way as you. It'd be like I'd be cheering for the Yankees right now because like when it's the team that beat your team, no matter who it is, it hurts. But had we lost to the Padres, that might have crushed me. Because the
right.
Dodgers and the Padres, that's a personal rivalry between those fan bases. Uh, which is weird because I like Dominic Mysterio, but he's a Padres fan. So, I
Yes,
think he's the only Padres fan I'll ever like. But
and
no,
that would
I'm
have
with
been
you
the.
though. Like, go ahead.
I would say that would have been the same with me. Like if I would um if we would have lost to the Phillies or the Braves in the
Huh,
playoffs, that would have crushed
right.
me. Like because especially the Phillies at this point, like I can't stand the Phillies at all, and I can't stand the Braves. I mean, like the Marlins are in our division. I don't have any hate against them. I don't have the Nationals or the Nationals, but like the Phillies and the Braves are like the two that I'm like I can't stand losing to at all.
Oh no, I'm the same way. So like with the Padres and the Giants, that's how I am. But with like the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, it's like, yeah, but it's the Rockies and the D-backs. Like they're gonna get us once or twice. But I
Right.
will say, when the D-backs made their run and like I think they actually won the NL, uh, either last year or the year before. When they
Yeah.
made that, yeah, when they made that run, I literally put it on my Instagram story. I was like, "Is this real? Am I dreaming? Did this really happen?" Because like I didn't want to believe that like, oh, that could legitimately be a thing of like the D-backs being good. But then this year they reverted back to their old ways of struggling, and it made everything right in the world. Because I can't deal with 4 teams or 3 other teams in our uh league being tough to beat. I can't do that.
Right.
I need the
Yeah.
Dodgers to be able to beat up on the D-backs and the Rockies.
Oh yeah, I completely understand that. Like, and for me, it's like I mean, at the beginning, like of this season, especially the season as a Mets fan, like it was pretty heartbreaking. I mean, I know like starting 0-5, it's like there's 162 games in baseball. Like there's plenty of makeup, but it's like they're starting out 0-5. They would win some. They had that Brooke Lopez issue where like he was like we play on the worst fucking team in baseball. Like
Yeah.
and then literally got DFA'd the next day. Like and then even the Lindor's like early season struggles. And next thing I know it was like we started winning, but then we're in May we're 11 games under 500. I think we were like 22 and 34 or something like that. 33, 44 or something. And it was like, man, like this is just gonna be one of those seasons. Like, and then next thing I knew like June they're the best team in the National League. At that, actually, I think at that time they said they were the best team in all of baseball because they just kept getting hot. Like,
No, yeah, the Mets got hot at the right time. And I think honestly, had it not been for the fact that y'all ran in to the Dodgers, y'all probably would be the World Series team right now. And I think y'all could play the Yankees really close. Because the Yankees roster, they're really good, but they're similar to the Mets where they've got like 2 or 3 guys in their lineup that you're terrified of, and like 1 or 2 pitchers you're terrified of. But then everybody else is kind of like, as long as those 3 guys don't beat us. Like for Dodgers fans, the way we're looking at it, as long as it's not Judge, Soto, or Stanton that beat us, we're fine.
right,
If we get beat by somebody else, it's completely understandable as long as it's not those 3.
Yeah, I completely understand that. And part of me wanted to play the Yankees just because like we had the number in the regular season. No offense, Marissa. But we were 4-0 against them.
Dude,
Like
we are burying the Yankees in this, and she is going. I fear that as much as she loves you, obviously, and she has started to, you know, respect me a little bit. I think she's gonna ban us just on everything because we are just crapping on the Yankees, man. I don't feel bad. Like I want you to know, Marissa, as a friend and a fellow streamer and a fellow content creator, I respect you and I want you to be happy. But as a Dodgers fan, I hope we sweep y'all. I don't. I hope there's not a game 5, game 6. Even though I tweeted I'd like for this to go to 7 games, I don't need to have a heart attack. So I would like to sweep y'all and just get this over with as quickly as possible. And as long as our fans keep interfering, we will get this over with as quickly as we need to.
I I will have to be right back just real quick, but
Yeah, no, I got
I
you.
will be right back.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, sorry about that. Uh, but
Yeah, no, you're
no,
good.
like go ahead.
I actually just tweeted out that we're live. I tweeted out that we're live, and tagged Johnny and Marissa so that they could watch and we could bury the Yankees while she
It's like
watches.
it's like I even like there are some like Yankee players I do like. I do like Aaron Judge. He's good. He's really good. He's a great player. Except he swings like he's going to play
Yeah.
golf. But um, I like
You did,
Juan
bro. Come on,
Soto.
man. You can't do Judge like that, bro. You can't do Judge like that, man.
I like Juan Soto, but I also hope at the end of this series next year he's wearing a different New York uniform since he's going to be a free agent.
What's up, Johnny? How you doing, buddy?
Shout out Steve Cohn. Um, just give him a blank check. Tell Soto you'll pay him what he wants.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned the Yankees so much that I feel like we have to talk about it. And as a Dodgers fan, this will make me extremely happy. Uh, Yankees Dodgers game 1 reaction. Now, you want my reaction? I was so happy. I was so happy to see that ball just Freddie Freeman, just 5 nights of Freeman is all we really need. Just pew, boom, home run. And you know what was really fun about that is the Yankees fans were so stupid. They didn't well, they didn't have a chance to. Never mind. I was gonna say they didn't interfere, but they didn't have a chance to because Freddie hit a moonshot. It went way back. I don't know if it's even in the vicinity of the stadium anymore. It was fantastic.
Yeah, as soon as he
Oh, I
connected,
love it. I
I
love it.
because I was a few seconds on my stream. I was a few seconds ahead of Marissa and Johnny's, and I was just like, "Don't look! Like, turn the game off right now!" Like,
Yeah, dude. So
and
I here's the thing. So I wasn't even watching the game. I literally just saw a few plays, and when I saw that home run, I was like, I wanted so badly to just like text Johnny, and be like, "So, has Marissa burned her Yankee stuff yet?" Are we reverting to the good side here?
Um, I do know that she had some choice words for Aaron Boone.
I gotta go watch the
Last
stream
guy,
back.
like, like just watch the end of it, like that the last like 5-10 minutes so, like with that game when we were actually like as soon as because of course like I was in a little sports and so I was like, man, I need Otani to get me 2 hits. Like literally all I needed was Otani to get me one more hit and Soto to get me one more hit. And like
Yeah.
neither one could do it. I was like, damn it, guys! Like I was like, Otani was like getting hits against the Mets left and right. Like, come on, like
Well, see,
it,
Otani seems to struggle in game one, and game two, and game three, and game four, and game five. But in game six, he wakes up. And see, that's going to be the fun part. See, because here's what I want. I want the Dodgers to split with the Yankees today and be 1-1. Go back to Yankee Stadium. Dodgers take both games at Yankee Stadium. We go back to the Dodgers Stadium. We lose. Oh no, 3-2. Game six. I want the Yankees to win 3-3. It's game seven, bottom of the ninth. And who's up to bat?
oh
Freddie
god,
Freeman.
oh
Five
god,
nights.
dude.
Five nights of Freddie. I want for Johnny and Marissa to have to relive what happened last night. I want the same scenario too. I want bases loaded. I want extra innings. I want them to walk Mookie and be stupid, and I want Freddie to hit a moon shot. Because the crash out, if they lose game seven, will be that much more better than the crash out after game one.
I'm just saying, you wishing for that, Marissa might kill you. She might kill you.
No.
Like I,
As
so
look,
like,
as a sports fan, I wanna see it. And as a Dodgers fan, I want it to be go our way. Now look, if the Yankees win the World Series, I'll be happy for them because again, I like
yeah.
Judge, I like Soto, uh, I like
Oh, I like
Stanton.
Stanton,
I
Jazz.
actually like Aaron Boone. Yeah, I actually
Oh
like
yeah,
Aaron Boone too.
and I gotta shout out Aaron Boone because I mean, the Mets manager Carlos Mendoza came from the Aaron Boone tree. Like,
Right.
'cause he was with the Yankees last season before the Mets
But
signed.
I
He
want
signed with the Mets.
yeah, I want the greatest crash. Like the moment if they lose game seven. Now, if they lose game seven, if the Dodgers lose game seven or they lose this World Series, I will crash out and I will go on a fire sale of let's get rid of Dave Roberts, let's get rid of Shohei, let's get rid of Mookie, Freddie, Gavin, Muncy. I will go on a rant. I'll say that I never liked Gavin Lux, even though I have always backed up Gavin Lux and said he's a great player. In fact, you know what? Even better. I want Gavin Lux to be the one to hit the home run that wins us the game seven.
Yeah.
Because nobody would expect that from Gavin.
See, as like with Freddie Freeman hitting that grand slam, that was bitter for me. Like not only because, like I said, like the Dodgers beating the Mets, but because like I have hated Freddie Freeman for years. For years as a Mets fan, I've hated Freeman's guts. Like going back from when he was with Atlanta, like I hated him.
See, I did too. When he was with Atlanta, I didn't like him. I liked him as a person, loved him as a player. I hated the team he was on, though. So when we signed him, I was like, thank you, Atlanta, for screwing up and giving us this gift of Five Nights of Freddy. Five Nights of Freeman, man. And with what Freddie has been through this year with his family and his son, the moment would be just be perfect for Freddie to win uh the World Series and to win the World Series MVP. Again, if the Yankees win, I will, as I said to you and as I said to Marissa, just good, clean, fun baseball is what I want. But if the Yankees end up beating the Dodgers in the World Series, I may or may not question my fandom to the Dodgers, and I love the Dodgers. But I may or may not be a fan of them anymore, depending on how the series goes.
Yeah, I mean, there were times this year as a Mets fan, like I was just like questioning like everything. Like it was just like I was like, especially like when Alonso hit that cold streak right before playoffs. I was like, I don't even care if he resigns. Well, Game 3 Milwaukee, I was like, okay, like we have to resign Pete Alonso. Like this guy is like, yeah, he had a cold streak, but like he when he's hot, he's hot. Like he's
Yeah.
one of my
He
favorite players ever, like power wise.
yeah, Pete and Lindor going into that series with the Dodgers because again, our bullpen is depleted as it is. Our starting
Yeah,
rotation doesn't have our normal rotation in it. Like last night, we started Flaherty. Normally,
yeah,
that would be a Kershaw game, and Kershaw's not going to pitch the World Series. Otani's not going to pitch. Bueller and Yamamoto are really the only two that we have that are legit ones at the starting spot.
right,
So that worries me with the Yankees lineup, and it worried me with the Mets too. Because I mean, our bullpen. If our bullpen didn't pitch well, we lost. I mean, you saw the bullpen
yeah.
game we pitched,
Game
game
5,
5. Yeah,
yeah,
to force the game 6. Like, dude, I didn't watch game 5 because I was almost certain, like, yeah, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. And then we're at game 6. I'm like, oh no, I have to watch because now the Mets might actually make it to game 7, which would have been I think it would have crushed the Dodgers for y'all to have forced a game 7,
right.
and I don't think we would have beat y'all genuinely. So I know if it's a game 7, we can't beat the Yankees. I
Yeah,
don't think our rotation can go 7 games.
and like for me, it was just like, man, like everything, like with them, and like I mean, with like Sean Manaea coming out of nowhere, like as a, I mean, he became our ace this season. Like he honestly became our ace. Like, cause I mean, Kodai got hurt. He did not look right at all coming back from injury. I thought it was silly to even put him in Game 1 at NLCS. Like,
Yeah.
cause I mean, he hadn't pitched since July. Like, but I I was listening to Howie Rose after that game, and he's like, if and he was going on like, he said, as a Mets fan, he said, if you're crushed, you should be. He said it's always heartbreaking on a loss, but he said you also need to be excited for what's to come. And honestly, that's my outlook on it. Like I'm excited for next year already. Like I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, to be fair, you really 30 other or 28 other teams, they only have next year to look forward to
Yeah,
because unfortunately their season's over. But I will say for the Mets, y'all have a lot of potential because if Alonso resigns and then a few pieces come in, I think the Mets can make a good run, especially if y'all bolster your pitching staff.
yeah.
I think y'all can get a good run, keep everybody healthy. But let's talk about a little football, a little NFL football.
All right.
As you are a Colts fan, so this should be interesting to see what your outlook is on it, because my outlook is completely different as a Dolphins fan. NFL midseason thoughts, because we're in week 8 now. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts so far of this season?
Fuck. I like what so Richardson has shown flashes of really high ceiling flashes. I've liked some of what he's done. And I appreciate what Flacco did, those 2 games stepping in. Like, I was so glad the Colts signed Joe Flacco as a backup. Like, I mean, especially after the Browns were just like, yeah, you got to from to the playoffs, but we're just gonna like let you sit at home now. We're not gonna even offer you a contract. We'll offer it to Jameis Winston instead, who hasn't done anything. Uh, but I, I'm and especially going into this Sunday, like Colts playing the Texans, like who if the Colts win, they move into first place in the division. I feel like there's a good chance like we can still make a wild card spot at least, but like our like Richardson is just like the key factor that worries, but it piques my interest at the same time.
No, yeah, and again for the Colts, it must be nice to have a competent backup quarterback that can function and make your offense look good. when your starter gets banged up or isn't playing well. Because as a Dolphins fan, I'm just ready for next season at this point. I don't know why Tua's coming back. There's nothing to play for. Season's over. It's been over since week 2. I don't think even if Tua comes back and we play great, we made the playoffs. We're probably going to have to draw Kansas City. It's going to be a road game because nobody's going to beat Buffalo right now. And we're
Right.
going to have to go back into the frozen tundra and be humiliated. And there's a chance Tua gets hurt in that game. So at this point, Tua just stay home. Be ready for next year for all I care.
Yeah.
I'm just we. I was so mad when we didn't go and trade for like Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, or didn't go
Yeah.
trade for even Bryce Young. Because say what you want about Bryce, I am also a um, Alabama fan. Bryce Young is a great quarterback. He's just in a terrible situation in
Oh
Carolina.
yeah, 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 definitely. Like I said that the moment the Panthers drafted him, number one. I said whoever the Panthers draft overall, I don't care if it was C.J. Stroud, I don't care if it was Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, I don't care. Like they were going to be in a bad situation because the Panthers gave away everything for that number one pick. I mean, you gave away McCaffrey, you give away DJ Moore, and then you sign an aging Adam Thielen as your number one guy. Like,
Yeah. And your offensive line sucked, and the defense
yeah,
sucked. I mean, it was, and you just traded Brian Burns to the Giants.
yeah,
So your best defensive player is now on another team, and he's struggling because New York is not good either.
right.
But no, man, I completely agree with you. I think the Colts could, because I mean, last year without Richardson, the Colts almost won the division. So
Yeah,
I think y'all can make a run and win the division, honestly. Because right now the Texans are a team that they look good on paper. Like when you look at their roster, it's like, how do you beat this team? But they're also banged up. CJ Stroud's not playing great. He's kind of falling into that sophomore slump that all rookie quarterbacks go through in year 2.
yeah,
Unless your name is uh, Peyton Manning, who has his terrible year, his rookie year, and then figures out how to win championships after that. Shout out
yeah,
Peyton. He's absolutely the GOAT, one of the greatest of all time. But yeah, man, I think, or if you're Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't play his rookie year and then goes and wins championships from after that.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, Buffalo.
Thanks, Buffalo. Um, and especially now, I mean, especially with the news, like, and I know like people are like, oh, well, DeAndre Hopkins is washed. He was washed with the Titans. They have Will Levis and Mason Rudolph throwing to him. They're not
Yep.
gonna. He's not. He's going to Patrick Mahomes, just like Amari Cooper getting traded from Cleveland to Buffalo. Now it's like you're going from Deshaun Watson, who I'm glad he got injured because he deserves it, but
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Jameis Winston to Josh Allen, who can throw a deep ball, who is accurate at most times. Like you're going, both these receivers are going from low tier to washed quarterbacks to
Elite
now
quarterback.
the elite of the elite. Like
Yeah, no, I agree. And like Amari Cooper literally, he didn't know the route. Had to ask Keon Coleman, "Hey, am I supposed to?" Yeah, and gets a touchdown. Like, how is that fair?
right,
How is that fair that he is that? And again, as an Alabama fan, I'm a huge Cooper fan. But how is it fair that at this point in his career, he can go look at the rookie wide receiver that's still trying to learn the playbook and go, "This is the right route. Yeah, this is the right route. Run the right route and win the." Like that's not fair. But let's get into this. So I asked Johnny this question. I'm going to ask you the same question, and then that'll kind of be the end of the stream, unless there's anything else you want to talk about. What got you into wrestling?
so I was born '96, so I was by '98, like the end of Monday Night Wars, in the NWO and WWF. Like I was coherent enough to know what was going on. Like I mean, I I had a pair of Goldberg shoes that I thought were so cool. I liked. and really I can thank my dad and my cousin for that because like they my dad was a big WWF mark, but he also liked WCW because it was good at the time. My cousin was a big WCW mark, like so that helped me. And like I mean really it was like what the first time I really remember watching wrestling was like 2002, and it was when Shawn Michaels returned from injury, and him and Triple H had that unsanctioned street fight, and like from that moment on, like Shawn Michaels had his hooks into me. Like I was like, I loved everything about the man. Like his in ring ability, the way he walked to the ring, his theme song, the way he talked, like it was just like I was completely in love with it. Like I was going to Raw house shows in Evansville. I was trying to watch. I didn't have SmackDown at the time on the channel we had, but like I had Raw every week. I was always watching Monday Night Raw. Once TNA became a thing, and like, well, I know it became a thing like 2002, but like once they got the weekly show on Spike, like I loved TNA back in the day. Like I loved TNA. Shout out Motor City Machine Guns, just won the title last night. Uh, One of the best tag teams ever, in my opinion. Like, but yeah, really, I can thank my family for getting me involved in wrestling. But then there's like, once like I started watching wrestling, I was just like I didn't care. Like, I was just like, this is awesome. Like, really, like the wrestlers were like lifestyle, like lifelike superheroes.
You know, so mine's a little bit different. I am an '03 kid, so I was born in '03, so I didn't get to watch like the early '90s and the 2000s and stuff. Um, so my first wrestlers that I was introduced to was actually Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt, because I started watching in 2014. So, RIP to Bray and shout out the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Um, but yeah, man, like I like to hear people's stories and different ways that they got into wrestling and what their favorites are and what they remember. Um, but I appreciate you being on and taking the time to do this. Glad we were able to get it done pretty quick and get
Yeah, no, I
you know
appreciate the
on it
invite,
pretty
man.
quick
Like,
because I wanted you on here because when I had Johnny on, we talked about different people in the community on the Discord, and you were one of them we mentioned, and you're one of them that I've become decently good enough friends with that I wanted to have you on here, have that conversation, talk about just wrestling and some other sports stuff. So I appreciate you being on. Um, Tell everybody where they can find you, where you make your content at, so that people can go follow you.
I most time it's on. If I post wrestling content, it's on TikTok, which would be TravPop96. Like it was, that's about where I post anything about wrestling. I do have two like AEW theories I just put out the other day about like with the Moxley stable and Orange Cassidy, and now like with the Young Bucks and Jack Perry as well.
Yeah, I'll follow you on your TikTok, and I keep up with your TikTok, and I keep up with everybody's. I kind of try to keep up with everybody's TikTok in the group, but there's a lot of people in there, flooding their stuff, so
Right.
sometimes I miss it. But no, I make sure to go check him out on TikTok, guys. He does great content. He's really good at what he does. Man, I appreciate you being on here, and
I
again, taking
appreciate
the
the
time
invite,
to
man.
uh, get interviewed. Hopefully, we can have you on here again soon. Do something, maybe after Crown Jewel or later in the year. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. So if there's anything else you want to say before we end, you can say it before I end it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was great getting the chance to like actually. Like I know we've talked before, like on like on like game nights and stuff like that with the community, but like it was great getting to actually do like a one-on-one sit down and talk about stuff.
Yeah, it's something that's been a long time coming because I think me and you have a pretty good like a respect for each other, a pretty good vibe. So I appreciate you coming on and making it work and getting a podcast in. Like I said, this will be my last live stream of the day, but I will be working on content all day because I have learned with this YouTube channel, I have become a workaholic when it comes to my YouTube channel because I'm trying to grow it and build it and do so much for it that I not like I had a plan of this weekend, wasn't gonna do anything. And then I just it's you start getting ideas and start thinking and it just runs with you. And if you don't do it now, it becomes a thing where your idea can be taken or this can happen or that can happen and you forget it. So wanted to make sure that I got you in. I had another one earlier today. Shout out to Big Mike of the Run In Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. He was on the channel earlier. Really appreciate him being on. Trav, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time out of your day to do this. Uh, you gonna be in the Twitch stream today or tonight whenever the Dodgers game is on?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I need a game 2 win because I gotta see the crash out, man. I gotta see. I'm imagining. No, I'm imagining if the Yankees get swept. This is what
Oh,
I'm imagining. I'm imagining Marissa's head, steam coming out, and just explosion, and everybody's fired, including somehow she'll fire Johnny and Harry. Somehow she's gonna fire those two from being around her in during a Yankees game ever again.
oh yeah.
But
I
no,
just
man, I
imagine
appreciate you
like
being
the
on.
cartoon, like the old cartoon, like when the head would turn into like the steam whistle, like and blowing out the steam. Oh man, it'd be a generational crash out, that's for sure.
Dude, I if it's not a sweep and it's a game 7, I think that would be even worse. We're gonna
Oh
get in
yeah,
trouble talking about how much we want the crash out if we
I
if
I, I will say, as a baseball fan or as a fan of any sport, I would rather be swept than lose a game 6 or 7. Like,
no,
don't
no.
don't give me that false hope. Don't give me that false hope.
See, I'm the other way. I would rather have the false hope because I also know I've got the team that can win that game 7 as long as our bullpen's not destroyed, which that is my concern. If it gets to game 7, is our bullpen is gonna be so beat up and so depleted that hear me out here, and I'm saying it live on the stream because I haven't ended it yet. Shohei Ohtani to pitch. He's
And,
been he's been throwing a little bit.
and I know they plan on pitching him next year too. Like they plan on putting him back in their rotation.
Dude, it would be iconic, especially if they bring him in bottom of the ninth. Need to have it. It's against the Yankees'
Ooh,
seventh inning, and
ooh,
and you're wondering like, where's Ohtani? Where's Ohtani? And then all of a sudden you see him walking out of the bullpen, and it's Judge, Soto, and Stanton up, and he's just
ooh,
like, "Let's go." Best on best. Let's see what you boys got. And he strikes out Judge. He grounds out Ohtani. And then he grounds out Soto. I want Stanton to just stand there and take 3 strikes right down the middle. Don't even swing the bat. I want that level of crash out from her so bad that I'm willing to risk Shohei's health next year for us to get that moment.
shit.
It won't happen, but it would be,
Nah.
dude. It would be iconic. It would be iconic. She would explode. It'd be great. Now, you know what? I'm gonna text in the group. I'm gonna text in the Discord and be like, "So, me and Trav agree after Game 7 when the Yankees lose, Marissa's crash out is gonna be firing everybody. She's gonna
Including
somehow
Tommy.
she's gonna somehow say that Judge was overpaid when he wasn't. Like that's
Oh
how this
no.
is gonna go. It's
It's gonna
gonna be
be
that bad.
interesting, that's for sure.
Dude, honestly though, either way, whichever team wins, because I've got Yankees fans in my family, so either way, whichever team wins, I'll be cool with it. No, I won't. No, I won't. It's got
No.
to be the Dodgers. Because again, I not a shot at the Mets, but I expected us to win the NL.
Right. I
I
mean,
I hope we can win the World Series, but I do expect us to win the World Series.
like I was so see, going into like when the Mets beat the Braves in that play-in game. I I didn't expect us to make it past the Brewers. I expected us to lose to the Brewers.
Yeah.
But then once we played the Phillies, I was like, man, it can't end here. Like it can't end against the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Mets just took care of business. Game one, game three, game four, and game one, game three, and four. They just took care of business. And but I knew once we were playing the Dodgers, once the Dodgers shut the Padres out in game three and four, like I
Yeah, remind me of that one
knew
again. We did what now?
you shut the Padres out. Like
Yeah.
I knew when we had to go to Los Angeles, I was like, this is gonna be either really good. My hope was it was gonna go at least six. But my also hope was like either we're gonna get swept, which I did not want, or we could potentially win in five or six, which is what I was hoping for. But I also knew like if we didn't win, like which we didn't, especially game three and four in New York, like I knew it was gonna be like almost an impossible climb for the Mets because not only to win back-to-back game against the Dodgers, but to win two games against the Dodgers in LA.
Yeah.
In LA.
I completely agree with you. Like that was gonna be tough for y'all to do that. But again, baseball is a fun sport, and that's why we love it. Is
Yes.
because you never know if your team. Because at the time, the Mets were the hot team.
Yeah.
Yeah, our pitching staff had got hot against the Padres, but y'all's entire team was hot. But it kind of goes to like at this point, the Dodgers just we have too much firepower because we have Otani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Smith, Lux, Hernandez, both Hernandezes. We
Yeah.
have Outman. We have Chris Taylor. As I'm going through it, oh my God, we better win this series because genuinely the Yankees only have like four guys that scare me: Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Soto, and Stanton. Everybody else is like, okay, they can play, but we have an entire lineup, 1 through 9, that can obliterate a team. And
Yeah.
our bench guys, Tommy Edman, our bench guys can do whatever they want. Which, by the way, shout out Tommy Edman. I mean, future Hall of Famer. You know, I don't know if that's true, but hey, he did win the NL MVP, so or
He
the
did.
NLCS MVP. So I don't know. Maybe he hits a couple dingers and just sweep sweep the Yankees.
There we go.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Uh, so I appreciate you being on. Make sure you
All
guys
right.
like, subscribe, follow Trav on TikTok. Um, yeah, I am done with streaming for the day. I've done now between 10 o'clock and now. I've done about 3 hours of streaming, so I'm done with streaming for the day. But I appreciate you being on and taking the time to hang out.